Hey everybody, Lee with LG Speed and Custom. In this video we are making stainless lake pipes for Doug's 49 Chevy.
We was cruising down the strip, just me and the boys. We was feeling kinda rowdy, gonna make some noise. So we gassed up the rod, headed for the east side of town. Well, me and the camera was having a...
This is Doug's 49 Chevy. Doug bought this car 2.5, maybe 3 years ago. It already had an upgraded 235 in it with I think a Weber carburetor on it. And we put a 5-speed in it, GM 10-bolt rear end, and we did a disc brake kit up front. Now Doug has acquired a set of Fenton exhaust manifolds that he wants to put on, and we're going to plumb those into some lake pipes. But unlike on Shannon's Comet, where we just put pre-made lake pipes on Doug's car, we're going to build some lake pipes out of stainless, and 2-inch stainless, and then Doug can polish them because he's retired and has time to polish pipes. So the first thing we need to do is get a measurement here from about where you want it to poke out. You don't want to go back to the... Actually, yeah, I guess you were in a pretty good spot right there. So probably 73 inches would put it in right before your curb feeler here.
This one, which is about...
Yeah, this one will go 90 degrees in and that end will go 45 degrees out. So now we'll go inside the shop and build some 73-inch pipes. So this is the stainless tubing that we're going to be building these pipes out of. This is 2-inch, what they call ornamental stainless. And I buy this from a place that sells equipment for building like craft breweries and stuff like that. That's what this is actually for. But I really like to use it because they come in perfect 90s, perfect 45s. It's a little bit thicker than regular exhaust tubing, so it makes welding it nice. And it's absolutely perfect fit, which makes, like I said, makes it nice to put together. So we've got a 12-foot chunk here that we should be able to cut in half and use one side for the drivers, one side for the passenger. This is going to go 90 degrees towards the engine. And then on the other end, this is going to go 45 degrees out by where the rear tire is. On the engine side, we're going to be using these V-band clamps. When I did the exhaust system on Shannon's Comet, when we put the lake pipes on, I wanted to use these, but I accidentally ordered the wrong side. So how these work, rather than like a 2-bolt flange like we did on the Comet, is you weld one of these ends to your lake pipe and the other end to your exhaust system. They then sit together, nice like that, and this little clamp, as you tighten it up, squeezes them in there and makes a nice finish that does not leak, and it's very easy to take apart for servicing so that you can take your lake pipes off, put them back on, and you don't have to worry about gaskets or anything like that. As they start to wear out, which I doubt they ever would, but say you took them on and off 1,000 times and they were starting to get a little bit of slop in them, as the pipe gets hot, it just squeezes it even tighter, so there's just absolute minimal chance of getting any leaks with these. These are some motorcycle baffles that Doug bought. We're going to modify them a little bit to make them flow a little bit better. And then these are going to go on the engine side of the pipe. That way if they don't work or whatever, we can always take them out and come up with a different plan without having to cut the lake pipe apart. So that's our stuff. We've got our measurements. We've got everything we need now to build some pipes. So remember, we needed a 73-inch overall length. To figure out what we need to cut our pipe at, we laid this on the bench, drew a line, butted this up next to it and drew a line. You can't really see it. And measured that, and it is 7 inches. So 73 minus 7 is 66 inches. We need to cut this piece into 2 66-inch pieces, and then when we add those 2 ends on it, we'll have a 73-inch overall length.
Yep.
Make sense?
You betcha.
All right.
That's good.
Yeah, we got 66 inches from there to the blade. So Doug's cleaning up the end of that from where we cut it. This one's already done. We're gonna lay this on a nice flat table and then take this 90-degree end and butt it up just like that. We can go ahead and tack this. Well, actually, almost we can go ahead and tack this. So stainless, you have to purge it, which means we have to fill this with gas. So I've got this splitter on my TIG welder here with another end, and this goes on the end of our pipe here, and then we'll put another cap on this end, and when I turn the valve on, it will fill the inside of this piece of tubing with argon, which gets rid of all the oxygen. That way when we go to weld it, it doesn't get all contaminated and crusty on the inside. That's only a stainless thing that does that. So we'll cap the ends and fit this end. Give it a couple tacks.
Some greaser in a Chevy was making some noise, so I said to the dude, you better hang on, boys. Lined them up at the lights and we started to lay it down. Well, I'm a street racing man, always breaking the law. I don't care what you heard or what you think you saw. I'm always tearing it up all over town.
So I just put a couple fusion tacks on this for now. We're gonna take it back out to the car now so that Doug he wants to put this end on a funny angle for some reason.
45 degrees.
A 45. So we're gonna go out and mock it up on the car and make sure it looks okay. About there? Yeah.
Not like that, not straight down. Like that.
You guys at home see that? Do you think that's a good angle? Doug doesn't care.
Okay.
Okay. We'll take this back inside, line that mark up on the bench, tack it. This is Andy, by the way. Say hi, Andy. So we've got our purge line on that end now, and over on this end here, if we line up that Sharpie mark that Doug made and give that a tack-a-tacka, it should be in the same spot as when he tested it on the car. Ta-da! Look at it. And then you can see your angle.
Oh, that's gonna feel good.
Maybe just slide your hand in a little bit, Rex. He wants to see the angle of the tip on the end there.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I want.
That's what you
It's
want?
not down and it's not straight out. It's just like it just blows right out here. Oh, it's
Yeah.
perfect.
Picks the dust up all over your white balls.
Which I don't have.
All right, let's weld it. Well, Doug's happy with that angle. So we're gonna weld this up now and then do a mirror image on the other side.
This clown. Some greaser in a Chevy was making some noise, so I said to the dude, you better hang on, boys. Lined them up at the lights and we started to lay it down. Well, I'm a street racing man, always breaking the law. I don't care what you heard or what you think you saw. I'm always tearing it up all over town. So if you're high on yourself, I'm gonna bring you down. So shut your mouth and can't stop, that's walking. Let's line 'em up.
Lunchtime.
Well, I'm a street racing man. Yeah, I'm a street racing man. Well, I'm a street racing man. I got the fast.
Well, we've just finished eating lunch. We've got both pipes welded up now. So it's time to fit these V-band clamps. So what we're gonna do is, originally we were gonna add, a couple inches on there and put this V-band clamp a little further in, but when we tried it on the car just a little bit ago to make sure that the angle was right, I noticed that, we can put the V-band clamp here and it'll be just fine. It'll be tucked in enough that you won't see it. It won't make any difference if it's here or here. So we're gonna put it here just because it's one less cut and one less welding. So these have a male and a female end. The male's got this little lip on it. The female's got a little recess so that they click together like that. So we'll weld one end on here, and then the other end, we're gonna take this cut off, cut it in half. One will be the driver's side, one will be the passenger side, and we will put the other end on there like that. Look how nice those fit together. It's just beautiful, isn't it? So we're gonna whittle this guy down to fit in there. It's a little bit big, but I think if we put a couple relief cuts in there, we can squeeze this down, slide it in, and weld it in there. The reason we're putting this on the middle piece here rather than in here is if this sounds terrible or is too quiet or maybe even too loud, Doug can go ahead and take this piece out and come up with a plan B without having to cut the pipe apart. So that's where we're at now. Let's cut this in half and weld these guys up.
That you're the best, but I know you're only second guess. Those things you do, I can tell. Should it be right when I see you swell? Well, honey,
So we're gonna put some slots in here. I did 2 already. We'll do the other 2. And then with those slots, this will squeeze in there ever so nicely. So now we'll put a little weld on here, a couple tacks so that it doesn't vibrate loose, start rattling around in there. And with them being on this end, if Doug decides that these
Do nothing.
are not loud enough or not quiet enough, all he's got to do is chop that end off and slide his downpipe from the engine on a little bit further and weld it back up. Okay, so this opens up. Those slide together like that. And then as you tighten this guy up, it's going to clamp those together nice and tight. That's not the right size. Move your hand out of the shot there.
There. Solid like a rock.
Shazam. Well, now we're ready for the hard part. We got to make this disappear.
I wondered about that.
So to clean these welds up, we're just using some 80 grit in a little 90-degree grinder here, and just be very careful.
Well, honey, you think that you're the best, but I know you're only second guess. Those things you do, I can tell. Should it be right when
After I finished it in 80 grit, I put some 120 on the sander here and just finished it out. So now Doug can polish that, and it's going to look amazing.
What would you recommend I polish with?
For polishing it, we'd probably sand it a little further from, like maybe go from 120 to 220, 320.
Okay.
I'd even maybe try going, I don't know if you'd have to go up to 500, but
I
maybe.
can do that by hand.
Yeah, you could do it by hand, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's a compound kit. I buy them at KMS. Princess Auto sells them as well. And there's 4 different stages of compound polish. Same as polishing a car. You start with the rougher one and go to the finer and finer. And the longer that you spend on it, the shinier it gets.
should it be right when I sing as well? Oh, I've got a sweet girl.
These are all metal finish now. That worked out really nice. Just for fun, I took this end over to the buffing wheel, and I don't even know what compound was in the buffer wheel, but we spent about 30 seconds and put a little bit of a shine on it. I really like to put a little bit of shine on one particular part, because now Doug can't just leave them like that.
That's right.
He has to polish the rest.
And I've done that before. Shine somebody's car, a big circle on the hood, and then walk away.
Yeah, you polish their corner of their fender really nice, and be like, oh, this is what it could look like, and then
Just walk away.
and then you leave it.
I've done that lots of times.
2 weeks later, they still haven't finished. All right, so that is our finished but unpolished product. We were going to install these on the car next, but unfortunately we don't have time. It is starting to snow, believe it or not. And to bring this inside, we got to bring the 32 outside, and the frame rails on the 32 are still in sandblasted bare metal, so we don't want them to get snowed on. Doug is leaving on Monday or Tuesday, I believe, to head back. He's going to Edmonton, Alberta with the car, so he's going to bring these with him. And our good pal Dave Brisson doesn't know it yet, but we're going to ask him to install these when Doug gets to Edmonton. So it'll be pretty much the same kind of way that we installed them on Shannon's Comet. Along with these, we had some technical difficulties. So as I was saying, along with these lake pipes, Doug has these Fenton manifolds that he picked up. So when it's time to put these pipes on back in Edmonton, Dave's gonna help Doug with these as well.
Hopefully, yes.
Right, Dave?
Right, Dave?
Yeah.
Hey, right, Dave? Please.
So anyways, that is how you build lake pipes out of some stainless tubing. So
They're going to have to be shined up. Apparently, that's my job.
yeah, Doug's gonna polish them all up. So I also want to say thank you to Doug. When I was 9 years old, I was a little kid that used to hang out with my dad at the shop, and Doug was very good friends with my dad. And Doug saw that I was interested in mechanical stuff. So Doug taught me how to weld. Doug taught me how to take a carburetor apart, how to gap spark plugs, stuff like that. If you see a young person that's even the slightest bit interested in this kind of stuff, don't be afraid to show them stuff.
Yeah, if you can help them out, by all means, because this is what they turn into.
Yeah, I was a kid that I used to take my bike apart. and Doug would show me how to put it back together. So there's a lot of the older car generation gives young people such a hard time because they don't know how to set points, or don't know how to build a carburetor. Points have been obsolete for 60 years. 60 years. Electronic ignition came out in the early 70s, which was, you know, that was a long time ago. So it's not new mechanics' fault that they don't know this stuff, because it's irrelevant to a modern mechanic. So if you teach a kid how to set points, they're gonna know how to set points. If you don't teach them, nobody else ever will, and they'll never know. So.
And there's a lot of modern day mechanics that don't do this whole kind of stuff. You know?
Yeah.
Thank goodness for somebody like Lee who had the wherewithal to want to learn,
Mm-hmm.
and he got pointed in the right direction.
The older generation has a responsibility to share their wisdom with the younger generation, and that's what Doug did to me when I was a kid, and that's why, you know, 25 years later, I'm still here building.
And I have to thank Lee from the bottom of my heart for this, because he's been like a nephew, or he's been like a son a lot of times, but he's like a nephew for sure. And I just love this. This is going to be so good.
So.
Thanks again.
Yeah. So if you want to support the channel,
Please do.
yeah, please do. Check out lgspeedcustom.com and get yourself a LG Speed and Custom shirt, stickers, parts. You guys know the drill. And yeah, we'll see you guys on the next video. Have a safe drive back to Alberta.
Right.
It's about, what, 1,400 kilometers?
Something like that where I'm going, yeah.
So like almost 1,000 miles, and it's winter time. So there's going to be a lot of snow in the mountains. That's why Doug's got his winter tires on the back, studded tires.
Studded tires.
So, but it'll do fine. People drove these cars over the mountains all the time when they were new.
Oh, and their flakes are coming now.
Yeah.
I just seen one.
All right, we'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching.